Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to first make it abundantly clear that I condemn any acts of violence, symbols and images of racism, and more importantly, the hate speech on social media is just unacceptable. I believe we have all had our fair share of negativity over the last few years. Quite honestly, in the last decade, social media has taken over the way we interact with each other. Our government and mainstream media calls upon inclusion and diversity, yet censors and refuses to listen to different thoughts and perspectives, especially from a visible minority, a woman of color who dares to think critically. I am a proud first-generation born Chinese Canadian who doesn't identify with any political stripes. It is part of the reason why I became a city councillor, because I can represent a very diverse ward. I will say it again, I always respect the autonomy and sovereignty of your individual body and choices, and the right to peaceful protest is essential to meaningful and informed political debate and discussion. A democratic society welcomes debate and disagreement on the key issues of the day. I still wholeheartedly believe in this. I want to take this time to thank all the citizens who have reached out to me during these last few weeks to share their personal story about how the pandemic has affected their daily lives. Also, what the protests here in Winnipeg and Ottawa signify to them. I also want to take the time to thank the Indigenous leaders in the community who took the time to take my call and tell me their views of the protest. I'll admit, it was eye-opening to hear their perspective on protesting and what they value. And I want to let them know that I hear them and I understand their position. I also thank the mayor for calling this special council meeting, so I have an opportunity to speak my truth and perspective of what is happening. The original motion was a symbolic motion, and it appeared to have little depth in actionable direction, except reaffirm what is already defined in the Winnipeg Charter and all the other provincial legislations and the Police Services Act. I do appreciate the amending motions, and I agree with my council colleagues' comments, Councillor Eadie, on many of the issues he's brought up. The mayor is supposed to be involved in intergovernmental relationship. So I do hope he continues to speak with the Premier of Manitoba to find a resolution and a path forward. Through my own personal lived experiences, I like to analyze situations. I like to listen to all sides of the story, and I'm always determined to resolve it with compassion, love, and honesty. I care so much about the community that it makes me disappointed to see the lack of open dialogue with key stakeholders to discuss what our country is going through, to have honest and candid conversation, or at the very least, a roundtable discussion face to face to better understand each other's opinions and points of view. Because after I listen to all these stories, everyone is right. Every voice matters. Every story matters. Everyone I spoke to kept saying the same things to me over and over again. Their families are falling apart, and they don't spend time together over the holidays like they used to. Longtime friends are now broken and fractured. Kids are having suicidal thoughts and don't want to go to school for fear of bullying. They cannot go inside to the hospital to visit their grandparents because only one appointed family member is allowed to go. Instead, they have to see them through Zoom calls. They're pandemic fatigued, they're exhausted, We're exhausted. They're anxious. They want to know when this pandemic is going to be over. I'm not too sure if the constant divisive discussion on pro-choice versus being vaccinated is doing society any good. It all feels very negative. And I can see in this council chambers, we all feel the same way. It's very, very negative. But I get it. We're all still remembering how bad COVID was in the beginning. And we've lost way too many lives over the last 2 years. The constant division with each other and between our families and friends is not healthy. It is literally taking a major toll on our mental health. And even worse, our kids are being directly impacted by the negativity. I describe myself as someone who has a lot of empathy, probably too much empathy, and have a heightened sense of what people around me are thinking and feeling. My experiences of empathy are so great that I often take on the pain of others at my own expense. I feel our society is reaching a tipping point, and I'm actually terrified that something awful is going to happen. What I'm seeing today, the simple values we learned growing up, treat others how you want to be treated, has been slowly disappearing. Our world, country, and even our city of Winnipeg is in such a heightened time of our lives where the pandemic issue is prevalent and on the forefront of everyone's mind. Therefore, I'm calling upon all leaders, community members, businesses, nonprofits, everyone on the ground in the thick of it to be a part of the solution. It always starts with a meaningful dialogue and conversations to build bridges of understanding, not criticism. All I want is peace, forgiveness, and most of all, I want families and friends to be together again. This is what will make our society thrive. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.